I was streaming the other day on Kage looking for a new series to watch. Subscribe if you haven't already. We were going over some good series for me to watch, and we came upon Cowboy Bebop. Even with me being an anime channel and Cowboy Bebop being one of the most popular anime of all time, I knew very little of the series going into it. So I was actually able to have a very utterly spoil-free watch. And I decided to, today to give my thoughts on Cowboy Bebop in 2023 and see how it holds up. One thing I enjoyed about Bebop was the characters. It's a very small, tightly knit group of bounty hunters, and for the most part, they're all very likable. First, we're gonna start with the MC, everyone's favorite bounty hunter. That's that nigga Spike. Spike, he comes off as a very lazy person. He has this cool aura to him. You know that he's cool because he's constantly smoking cigs. And as you know, any character in anime that smokes cigarettes is insanely cool. His nonchalant attitude also extends to how he viewed himself and how he viewed life. So we don't really learn this until a lot later, but Spike actually has a synthetic right eye. And I'm not gonna lie, this shit is never explained to us, but we learn that he sees the past in his real eye, which is his left eye, and he sees the present in his synthetic eye, which is his right eye. That's kind of a reason why we see that Spike is not able to let things go. A lot of things from his past, we see he harbors on that shit for a long time. Funny enough, despite how cowboys are portrayed as normally they're this heroic people, I didn't really watch no cowboy shows growing up because that shit was never hard to me. But when you think about cowboys, you think about, oh, I'm saving the day type shit. I'm not gonna lie, this nigga Spike is damn near the opposite. He is an anti-hero in every sense of the word. He's not some pure-hearted nigga like Goku, for instance. But at the same time, I'm not saying he's some evil-ass nigga like Vegeta. Yeah, honestly, as far as MCs go, like, he's one of the best, despite how short the series is. Funny enough, we have the actual leader of the group. And this person also doubles as the cook and the captain of the ship. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how he's all this shit and he's somehow not the MC, but I'm talking about that nigga Jet. Jet was a cool ass character in the show. His character development isn't as crazy as, I'm gonna get onto her a little bit later, but like Faye, for instance, like Jet is that steady person that we kind of enjoy. So Jet has a synthetic left arm as a result of a mafia organization. So, when it comes to battle scars, Jet and Spike, they got some cool ass ones for sure. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Those are like the two main members. Like when the show starts, we have Spike and we have Jet. And these are the two niggas that are doing shit. They're the ones doing the main bounties at the beginning and stuff. But while these are the two main members of the group, we get introduced to two more. And I'm gonna keep it a bean with y'all. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. I didn't enjoy these next two characters as much as I enjoyed Jet and Spike. Or at least at first. The most prominent of the two is Faye Valentine. So she crosses paths with Spike and Jet, and she basically makes herself at home. Like towards the end of the episode that she was introduced, she was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with y'all niggas. And it was like, damn, I guess she's gonna stick with us. Especially early on, she's basically this very lazy, arrogant character. And I told you, I was not a big fan of her. She would literally not help them niggas and then like leave or step off, get in trouble, and then they would have to save her. Like, she was out here being a walking liability. This shit actually kind of fried me, I'm gonna be honest. But I will say a lot of my critiques on Faye Valentine, honestly all of them, were really only from early on. She develops majorly and becomes a really cool member of the group. Shout out her, she's the most improved player basically. She honestly really grew on me. Especially with her backstory, she really gets fleshed out, and she isn't just this like prototypical quote-unquote hot woman, that a lot of anime tend to have. But to touch on her backstory a little bit, like the whole premise of her being placed in suspended animation for 54 years added a serious tone to her character. Like, I feel like a lot of plot points with her weren't really that serious until we get this bomb drop that she's basically like that nigga Shadow if you ever watch Sonic. We see throughout the rest of the story, like, she's searching for clues about her past life, and that shit was fire. And even touching upon her relationship with Spike, and I think that's easily the most complex relationship or complex dynamic of the series. On the surface, obviously they bicker like they're siblings and whatnot, but then we see how Spike and Faye care for each other. Then we have Edward, or Ed. She's the tech whiz and the youngest of the group, and I'm gonna keep it 2 50s and a 5. Shout out to nigga Eddie. As a main character, I feel like she didn't make a big enough impact for me. There was never a big storyline that involved her where she did something that I feel like another character could not have done. She did do some cool hacking stuff, but considering that Jet was the one who was always fixing the ships and stuff, and that's a lot of tech stuff, and we saw that, I feel like Jet could have easily replaced that. I never really felt like Ed had this crazy important role in the story. But even having said that, when the show was wrapping up and we saw that scene where Edward and Ian were leaving, that joint, it was a sad moment. Like, I don't know why, but I was just kind of like, damn, like the story's over. Because I knew the story was going to end soon because it was a short series. But I thought they were going to kind of leave together and be on some like oh, happy ever after type shit. Like, okay, it's over, but we had fun. It's the journey that counts. But those two leaving, it was just like, damn. Maybe I'm just chatting about her importance in the series. Cowboy Bebop, for the most part, is a very episodic show. A lot of the episodes involve, I'm gonna call these niggas Team Bebop, going on self-contained adventures. One of the first episodes that stuck out to me was this episode about this woman who Spike meets. Basically, her boyfriend's this low-down criminal that they kind of stealing these drugs. And at the end of the episode, she like shoots her husband in the head and like dies. And I'm like, damn. It's set up in a way that besides a few episodes, you can skip around and still enjoy the series. But the series is a much, much better watch if you watch it in chronological order as well. It's honestly been a minute since I've sat and watched a show where I can just relax. One thing I really liked about Cowboy Bebop is despite how it was a relatively tame story, they take multiple episodes spread throughout the story to flesh out the cast. We get about 2 to 3 episodes that are dedicated specifically for the main cast to flesh them out. But honestly, I would say the main plot points revolve around Spike and Faye's past. To touch on that real quick, despite the series being, I'd say, a very happy, episodic adventure, like having that kind of theme, there's still a big bad because, you know, this is anime. We gotta have something. And it's definitely that nigga Vicious. Vicious is a sadistic, ruthless, bloodthirsty man who has a plan basically to get revenge on Spike, right? He views Spike as a traitor for, you know, miscellaneous reasons. It's not really too important, but the point is he views Spike as a traitor and he's trying to kill that nigga. And I'm not gonna even lie to you, I can't even hate on him because the nigga is cold. And I did say a little bit earlier in the video that the most complex dynamic is between Spike and Faye. But if you're not gonna say it's Spike and Faye, I definitely say the best dynamic in the series is Spike and Vicious. We're given little clues on how Spike and Vicious aren't that different. Their codes of justice are very loose. You know, Spike is not the most heroic guy, but they always go out of their way to kind of point out that Spike has a heart. That nigga Vicious does not have a heart. Spike could be an Uchiha, like he has the whole crow and everything. It's weird. I don't know why he has that, but that shit is hard. Every time he was on screen, he was doing something hard. Like when he fought Spike the first time or escaped his would-be execution towards the end of the series. In a show in which you have a lot of people who have guns, this nigga uses a katana and he could still hang with niggas like Spike. That's hard. He's tough. When comparing him to anyone else in the show, like the difference in tone, it was like night and day. When you have characters like Ed, who's very, very goofy, happy-go-lucky, and you look at Vicious, it's like, bro, these are not even from the same anime. Even though he wasn't manipulating everything on some Black Zetsu type shit, he was still the center of the most important conflict. But he's still a character where it's like, damn, this nigga is cold. The final face-off between him and Spike, we knew it was gonna come. Like, I know I was like on episode 20 or something, and I was watching, and I was thinking, okay, when is Spike gonna handle this nigga Vicious? Because Vicious was supposed to be executed, and he wasn't, like I said. You knew that there was gonna be a final face-off, and they have one face-off where Spike barely escapes with his life, and it's like, damn. And everyone's kind of telling him, like, nigga, you know you're gonna die. But Spike kicks on his Spike shit, and he's like, yo, I have to do this. He talks to Faye, he talks to Jet. Jet is the definition of a real-ass nigga. So Jet's gonna be like, yo, let me cook for you one final time type thing. Whereas Faye, again, she's like the sister, so she's like, don't go there, you're gonna die. And Spike's like, yo, death is death. That was another theme in his story. In one episode, he talks about how he already died before. He doesn't have that fear about dying. And I'm not gonna lie, spoilers if you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, but this is 2023, so you should have seen it by now. Jet basically dies. I think the creator even says like, shit, I don't know if he's dead or not, but like, come on, nigga, we know that nigga's dead. It was a crazy ass scene, I'm not gonna lie, and kind of sad. We had like an ending scene, and you thought that, you know, even though they lost Ed and whatever, those three could still have a happy ever after type shit. Overall, my final thoughts, looking at the series as a whole, Bebop was great. Like, it was a down-to-earth series, and it was one of those series that I think completes your anime catalog. I'm glad I was able to finish it and give input about Sir Spike. Next time we have a protagonist tier list stream, I can give my opinion and put that nigga in A tier. I'll catch you on the next episode, though. So, see ya, Space Cowboy.